Folks, let's go on to health care, where, of course, the temperatures are high in the nation's capital, but not just when it comes to the thermometer. It's also the pressure on Senate Republicans to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. The bill has been in trouble for quite some time. And now Senator Mitch McConnell is prepared to introduce their second phase of this particular bill to get the necessary votes in order for it to pass. But they've been under intense pressure. Lots of changes have been made to the so-called Better Care Reconciliation Act. But the bill calls for more than $700 billion still to be cut from Medicaid, which is not pleasing to moderate Republicans. Now, President Trump, he says, look, let's sign this bill, get the job done.
I will be very angry about it, and a lot of people will be very upset. But I'm sitting waiting for that bill to come to my desk. I hope that they do it. They've been promising it for years. They've been promising it ever since Obamacare, which has failed. It's a failed experiment. It is totally gone. It's out of business. And we have to get this done, repeal and replace.
Really? Folks, less than 17% of Americans actually support this bill. So I'm trying to figure out who's going to be all upset. Let's go to United States Senator from Virginia, Tim Kaine, who joins us right now. Senator, how are you?
Roland, very, very well. Good to talk to you this morning.
We'll chat about a couple of things. We'll talk about Donald Trump Jr., Little Donald, in just a second. But when we look at this particular bill here, it is as if Republicans are completely ignoring, not Democrats, but also Republicans. People who are going to be the most hardest hit are folks in the states where Donald Trump also won, yet they are so hell-bent on hating President Obama. Their deal is just do something, even though it will screw millions of Americans when it comes to health care.
Roland, this is outrageous, and especially when President Trump says they need to repeal it because they've promised to. What about President Trump's promises? He said under his proposed replacement, nobody would lose coverage, nobody would pay more, nobody would get kicked around because they had a pre-existing condition, and he was not going to cut Medicaid. And now he's promoting a bill that will cost 20+ million people their coverage, raise premiums, hurt people with pre-existing conditions, and slash Medicaid by $700 to $800 billion. This bill doesn't just break President Trump's promises, it shatters them. Why should one person vote for a bill that would shatter the promises that he made to the American public?
And also, the pressure continues. In a moment, we're going to talk with Reverend Dr. William Barber, who has been mobilizing pastors to step up.
So strongly.
When you go back to the 1964 Civil Rights Act, it was moral leaders who President Lyndon Johnson implored to stand up. What is stunning to me is the utter silence, how impotent the evangelical right is when it comes to this. They talk about loving Jesus, but they are saying nothing about this. It shows that for many of them, they've been pimping God.
Roland, I'll tell you what we're hearing in our office and as we travel around Virginia. This is shocking. First, when there's a bill on the floor, interest groups come in to say, vote for it or vote against it. Nobody's coming in saying vote for this Senate bill. Nobody. We're not hearing from a single Republican governor or mayor saying it's a good thing. And in the first 18 days after the Senate version came out on June 22nd, we had nearly 12,000 letters, calls, and emails to our office, and it was running 98 to 2. 98% of people were saying, don't do this, don't take away our health care. Only 2% of the callers were saying they support this. So this bill has no support other than in the fever swamp of a closed-door Republican meeting where they're not even willing to have public hearings before the Health Committee. I'm on the Health Committee, and they won't even let us have a hearing about this bill.
Let me say that again. You sit on the Health Committee in the United States Senate, and the committee has never seen this bill.
I'll tell you this, it's amazing, Roland. I've been on the committee since January 3rd. On the 5th of January, I wrote a letter to the chair and to Mitch McConnell, and I said, and I got 13 Democrats to sign it. I said, if you want to improve health care, we want to work with you right now. That committee has had hearings of all kinds. We have one today about nominees, about the FDA, but there's one taboo topic on the committee right now. We can't have a hearing about health care. We had no hearings about the House bill. We've had no hearings about the Senate bill. They're telling us we're not going to have hearings. And what does that mean? That means we don't get to put a patient or a doctor or a small business or a parent with a kid who has a disability in a witness chair and ask them questions about what works, what doesn't work, and what should be fixed. They're shutting out the public. They're shutting out the entire committee process. They're trying to jam something through that will hurt millions and millions of people, and we got to stop them.
Let me ask you about little Donald. We now know for a fact that Donald Trump Jr. Met with Russians who are representing the Russian government in order to affect this election. You were the Democratic VP nominee along with Hillary Clinton. When you see, and he stood there a month after in an interview with Jake Tapper on CNN, flat out lied, called it disgraceful about Russian influence. Right. And then, of course, we heard him in May of this year lying again. Now we actually have the proof that he did indeed meet with them in an attempt to discredit Hillary Clinton as well as yourself. It is abundantly clear what the president keeps saying it's a Russian hoax, that this president has been compromised and the campaign was compromised by Vladimir Putin.
First, as you know, Roland, the combined force of the American intel community has said it is without a doubt that Russia engaged in an effort, a coordinated effort to attack our democracy and get Donald Trump elected. That is a unanimous opinion, and it's very clear. And now we know that, at least in this instance, Donald Trump Jr. was approached by email, and the email said, this is part of the Russian government's effort to help your dad get elected, and he wanted to have that meeting. He was told that the Russian government attorney would be flying over from Moscow to have the meeting. That should have sent off alarm bells and red lights. Instead, it just got his salivary glands working. I want to do this. He should have turned it over to the FBI, but instead he and other key campaign officials sat down. So what this does is it just delivers wheelbarrows full of evidence to the special prosecutor and to the intel committees here that are looking into everything that happened, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
Are you hearing anything from your Republican colleagues who have been defending President Trump, who've been saying, oh, this is just Democrats upset they lost, making this stuff up? I mean, are they, at least are they privately saying, okay, we can't keep playing like this didn't happen?
I am hearing that from Republican colleagues, Roland, and I'll say I think this week a little bit maybe have crossed the continental divide a bit. In the aftermath of this email story, you know, if I just turn on and I'm at the Senate gym and they're scrolling through news channels in the morning, you're not having a lot of Republicans even willing to go on these shows to talk about this because there's nothing good they can say about it. Some have been defending the White House or taken the White House's line that this whole thing was invented. They can't do that anymore. But I'll tell you this, I was really worried that they were going to sweep this under the rug successfully. But from the moment that Director Mueller was appointed, I now feel complete confidence that the investigators will get to the bottom of it, and the intel committees, especially in the Senate, we'll get to the bottom of it, and we'll know everything that was done, and we'll know whether and to what degree the Trump campaign, transition, and administration was working together with Russia. We'll know whether, and we'll know to what extent there was cooperation.
Senator Tim Kaine, glad to have you on the show, and you're certainly welcome to come back.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.